You guys ready to do Mando?
Let's do it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm so ready to do Mando.
Banger. Banger.
It says...
Do we need to take a break? Change bats?
We're probably good. That's the actual battery in there, not the crummier one. So
okay, so
we'll hope for the best here.
Yeah, I mean, even if we got to finish a little bit, that's no big deal.
That battery should be good for 2 hours, and
we're just broke an hour.
Yeah, we're only in an hour.
We're doing good today.
I knew this. Yeah, this one was definitely going to be a short one. So
yeah, well, feels just like a finale without being the finale to me. This whole episode is just building to a point. It's awesome.
Good penultimate episode.
Yeah, great penultimate episode.
God. This was my favorite. I mean, obviously, Luke's return is my number one of Mando of all the seasons. I don't think that there's really any people that would disagree. Some, sure, but that's just...
This one was just cool because it was just like... It was literally Star Wars Rebels all over again when they go to Mandalore and they're fighting Gar Saxon Squad. It's Mandalorians against Mandalorians.
In Beskar.
And all of them in Beskar. I mean, now granted...
they're Death Troopers.
Now granted, I was going to say, they weren't Mandalorians, they were Death Troopers. But, but yes, it was awesome.
Let's start off. So, obviously, we open up, we're in Coruscant again.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So we're in Coruscant again.
The depths.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. I never remember her name.
So here's the thing. I'm just going to throw this question out to you guys before we get into this breakdown.
It's the swole girl.
The episode was called either Spies or The Spies. Mm. Who's the second spy?
Well, there's a
great question.
There's a ton of theory on that right now going around the old internet.
See, there's a big theory of who
called
people...
The Spies.
Yeah. So there is a the. Okay.
All right. So, anyways, the one spy,
the confirmed spy,
the confirmed,
right
we know she's a bad bitch.
Yeah,
and I mean that as in
she could break you.
Yeah, she could break you, and she's just a bad person. So bad bitch.
If you guys saw Quantum Mania, the jacked lady with the paint, the face paint, right, other stuff. Yeah, that's her. That's the same chick. She can break any one of us.
And what was it? So, it was the old school probe droid.
Yep. I know. Love that.
Love that. Scans her face. She
like how she could do the TK code. Yeah, that was cool.
Even making the womp sounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing that at least Disney has done pretty well at is those nostalgic sounds.
Yeah.
Especially like sounds. Like they've done a good job of like. They update some sounds in certain aspects, but they're really good at just keeping those classic ones and bringing them back. Just
yeah, and especially with that.
And with music, too. They do a really good job.
And it's so funny how, like, back in the day, people would be like, oh, this director's psychotic, he needs it exact. And, like, nowadays we're like, yeah, it better be.
It better be. It built up this expectation.
Right.
But he asked about... they have a discussion about Dr. Pershing, obviously.
Yeah.
And what happened to him, and they kind of did that flashback of him in the beginning where it's, you set me up.
Yeah.
You set me up. She just cranks it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, burnt toast by now, but
yes. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's the confirmation there.
And after the briefing for that, because basically she brings to him that the Mandalorians are the ones that gave the pirates trouble on Navarro. Mm-hmm. And he says, which Mandalorians? Says Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. And he says those factions are mortal enemies.
He's like, this can't be those factions are mortal enemies.
Yep.
And she's like, well...
Says, well, there it is.
That's what.
That's why I'm here.
Like, well, that's what's reported. So I guess you better go do something about it.
Yep. So then he does the dope turnaround and all the the red walls.
But all it could make me think of was
quiet. R.I.P.
Boy.
Yeah, I was like, oh, don't show me that.
Just stop in the middle one.
You're right.
It's all a favor.
I do like it though, and this is what gives me hope. Another theory is they keep laying these Easter eggs to another boy, and this was the first one.
Yeah.
It's also with the same character that the scene's with. That there's obviously with the fight because that was between Maul, Obi, and Qui-Gon, but then later when he shows up in the suit, it's on the helmet.
Yeah.
True.
It's true. That's true. I didn't even think about that. That's solid. Banger. And dude, tell me I'm wrong. Moff Gideon's theme song is iconic.
That was great. I love how they build him up. They build him up so great.
Oh, it's great.
From him going to be a one-off to this actually like built up like, oh no, this dude's like a big deal.
Well, and that also answers a lot of our questions.
Giancarlo was probably like, I'm a big deal.
Yeah. And dude, the answers our questions about the war crimes and how he got the saber and everything. Obviously, we have that. But then you see him in the armor.
At the end, yeah. I just liked how at the beginning, though, again, he's walking down the hallway. There's all those clone tubes. People are like, who do you think it was? And some people are like, it's these two, idiot. Like, and they showed, like, a picture of both Snoke and Palpatine. Like, people were like, it's these two, you moron. like, this is what, like, just accept it's what they're getting to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it definitely was one of those two. It's probably more, I don't know. I feel like it's, like, they're all, like, attempts at Palpatine, and then Snoke is just this...
The best they can do.
Something that was the best they could do and then, like, they were just, like, okay with it, and then that allowed them to have a face for time to make, like, real Palpatine to come back.
Yeah, and I mean...
See, I always took Snoke, at least as far as they built this up, I've kind of felt like Snoke was just more of a puppet for Palpatine.
Oh,
so Palpatine.
Well, right,
I feel like Palpatine was already back.
But in Rise of Skywalker, it shows Snoke in like failed Snoke clones in the tubes.
I get that. Yeah,
so
which I agree. I feel like that's what they're alluding to as well. But I don't think like Snoke was like a temporary face until they could get Palpatine back. I think Palpatine was already back by the time they actually put the Snoke that we see in the movies.
Well,
I think Snoke was more of a puppet for Palpatine when he was back, so that people didn't know he was back.
Well, and also
but they still had a face to fear and listen to for the Empire.
Well,
that's just how I always took it. I could be 100% wrong.
Filoni
will fill that in eventually.
Dark side, a lot of dark side science went into that because he's all disfigured and huge and like you saw like when the Kaminoans cloned somebody, they looked like the person they cloned because of science. Well, the Sith are like,
maybe that's
forget that. We can't figure that out.
Dude, maybe that's why Snoke's all huge and shit because he has like some Kaminoan blood in him.
They look similar as far as their features.
He's tall and lanky.
He actually looks like one of the
that could be true.
Plagueis.
I'm gonna say I saw a theory that I saw
the Munes.
The whole idea that he could be Plagueis or a clone of Plagueis that's been floating around since like Force Awakens or since Force Awakens Last Jedi, whichever one of the two of them.
Well, the thing is, it's like the Munes themselves, I mean, there was a lot of Force-sensitive ones, but they didn't train in the ways of the Jedi. So maybe they were pulling from that bloodline or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, but anyway, all right, so the Shadow Council meeting.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Which was dope.
It was dope.
We got Pelion, we got Rex, we got
Hux.
Papa Hux.
Papa Hux, sorry.
I was going to say, that seemed like that was Papa Hux.
And you know what? It's the younger brother of the actor who played General Hux.
Who I believe...
I was going to say, because it looked like, I was like sitting there, I'm like, is that? Huh?
And he just looks like a psycho, all disheveled and stuff. He's just, it's like hilarious when I watch him talk. He's like, what about pushing? Like
Dude, it's like he's obsessed with the cloning.
Yeah,
shit. Obsessed with it.
Well, and that's what's cool is they set up this dynamic with like Gideon against Thrawn for the power struggle of heir to the Empire.
I know. I loved how like so it's Thrawn's right hand man that's speaking for him, and Moff's like, "Where's he at?"
Yeah,
he's just like he's not here.
I've heard whispers, but I've never heard of Thrawn. Like literally what he says.
Right.
I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah, like that was that's what I love too. Is he's like we all know throughout the Outer Rim, they all talk about us. They all whisper about the Empire. He goes, I've never once heard of a Grand Admiral Thrawn being thrown around.
Well, in my opinion, I think in the next episode, he's going to find out who he is.
I really honestly hope that that's the thing, is like they revealed all this shit at Celebration, because we're going to have... I really hope he's... Even if it's just a quick cameo, quick scene shot, whatever, I really hope he's in it.
I would even take the voice over the radio of him like explaining what's going to happen or something. Like, this is what's going to happen. Like, he just comes in with that velvet voice and just rips everybody apart.
Yeah.
And Gideon just goes, okay.
I feel like it might be a pretty good bet.
Because I feel like why would they?
Because it's just
why would they walk Lars out at Celebration?
Right.
Like
he's been involved.
Yeah.
You know, like he's had to have been involved.
I feel like he might make an appearance then because
I think even Filoni even came out and said something about the finale, saying that I think fans are going to have a lot to talk about after the finale. And I was like,
I'm taking that a different way though. I kind of hate that because I saw some shit about. Someone said like fans might be conflicted on how they feel after the finale, and I was like, oh god.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Fuck off, Siri.
But so that was this actually brings up my point from earlier, in that I think, to your point, like you say, the Empire was just a means to an end. Well, I think after all this time he's spent and he sees where the Empire is now in shambles and where the New Republic is as opposed to the Empire, because the New Republic at this point could probably wax the Empire with what's left, but
that's why they're hiding.
Right. So he sees that. Thrawn, at the point of which he joined the Empire, knew that was his best chance at fighting the Grisk and holding off all the threats from the Chiss Ascendancy from whatever the place is. And now he's going to spend a little bit more time dealing with the New Republic, who might be his best option for fighting against the Grisk. Because I think that's what Ahsoka senses is coming, and it's evil or dark. I don't think it's more Sith. I think it's the Grisk. It's about time for a new antagonist. And how about a whole race of people who are immune to the Force?
Right.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, and they're manipulative. I think they're...
So how would you feel about that? Because you'd still be getting your Thrawn, I guess, because he's still...
I feel like it'd be like a breath of fresh air and something different into the universe the right way.
Absolutely, and it's something that we've been building.
Because it would still, his goal would still be protecting the Chiss and their best interest.
So at the end of this, he could look at Ahsoka and say, "I'm not your enemy. They're your enemy. I want to help you because you want to help me because we can't do this on our own."
Right.
And so I don't think obviously you're going to get Empire fighting by New Republic, but I think that one will get phased out. One will be phased out to some extent. I think that they'll get phased out, and I think that he'll be involved with leadership on the other side at some point against a common enemy.
Damn.
Because his last book is called Greater Good. I say it all the time, but that's what he's there for. The greater good.
Man, Hera's not gonna know what to think.
Yeah. Well, and we also don't know. I mean, we saw little dude Ezra. We saw Ezra.
He's in the trailer.
And it's a recording, so we don't know for sure if he's alive or if he's missing or what, or if he'll be involved a lot. But at least we know that, and that's the thing, they were spending all that time together. How long have they been gone? Together. How long? How long is that? How long do you think it is? Honestly. I think by this point, how long?
Maybe by the end of the show, she'll have him and Ezra will stop her from killing him because he's going to be like, no, you need to hear this out.
Yeah, he's not the threat that's come. It's looming. Yeah. It's something worse than him.
Right.
Something worse than the Empire. Because in the Legends books, the Yuuzhan Vong were the creatures that came, but the Grisk are the ones they're building up to replace them in Legends. That's the working, pretty solid theory. And the Yuuzhan Vong were just barbarians that had tusks and long hair and they're huge creatures, and Luke had to save everybody on that. Luke and the Sith, the Jedi and the Sith, had to come together. That's the noise they make,
KP. I don't know if you knew that. It's coming from a Star Wars expert. That's what they sound like.
That's the Yuuzhan Vong. I like it.
That's what they sound like. You guys will see.
Use it.
You guys will see it in a couple of years.
We'll charge you. God. All right, so
Project Necromancer.
They bring up that,
which is Palps.
Yeah. I was like, that's
which is Daddy Palps.
Papa Palps.
Yeah, this is Papa Palps. And, and that's another thing that's pushing away. I mean, you can see Gideon is lying the entire time because you see all the cloning tubes. And they say,
cloning is your interest, not mine.
Exactly. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, bro, you just walk by him.
That's where people are theorizing that he's trying to get himself cloned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did see that. Yep.
Yeah. That would make sense, too.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but then, let's see here. Then, right after that, we basically cut away because a few of the Shadow Council, and I don't know exactly which ones, they agreed with Gideon and kind of sided with him. So then obviously we see the split. But the ones that matter didn't agree with him. So, like Rax.
But then we cut back to our beloved Mandos.
Yep, the light cruiser goes right over Navarro, and the protocol droid freaks out, and he's like,
so awesome.
He's like, there's an Imperial cruiser looming above the city, and it's like,
He's like,
see that?
Mar.
Giant mythosaur on the bottom of this light cruiser. I'm like, let's go. That's awesome. They kind of
got a whole fleet now too.
Yeah, and it's like Imperial warships that they've stolen. And then obviously they still have some old school battleships and stuff like that, and carriers, and I think one of them was like an Imperial transport vessel that we saw. Yeah, we saw that, and then they get to the camp, and there's obviously animosity because all the the Night Owl.
I loved it how all the Clan Crease members they all walk up and they're all just like immediate off, and I was like, oh, this is gonna start shit. I was like,
Paz did the stomped his foot, put his arms out, and I'm like, uh-oh. And he already starts having a pissing contest with
and I loved it too because
wolves or wolves.
I loved it too because he turns to his son. He's like, take the children inside the camps, and I was like, oh.
And they all had like bags over their head, training to wear the helmets.
Right, that's funny. Throw down. It's but no.
Yeah,
Princess stops that, and
Princess and dong dong dong.
Oh yeah.
I think the armor. There's a big time theory that she is Rook.
Yep.
That was the right hand of Maul.
Yep. Which is why she has the thorns.
And they never remove their helmet, so you never find out who she is. She's the armorer.
I do have hope that she's not the second spy.
Well, but that's the only way it makes sense.
But it also doesn't with her character at the same time.
Well, yeah, but someone was...
if she is Rook, then it makes sense. But also it doesn't, because it seems like she's been a part of this for a while. It makes sense and it doesn't, which is part of a problem. But also, too, I'm going to throw this caveat out there. We talked about this last week. There was a Mandalorian helmet, lighted in red. Mm-hmm. Told you it wasn't Mando. This week confirmed it wasn't Mando. And while I was watching this week, I noticed a certain other helmet. It was the Armorer's. But it was in that blue light, and I was like, son of a bitch.
She's a good guy.
It ain't her. Or is that what they want us to think?
Definitely.
But they've been truthful in the intros. They haven't lied in the intro, so it's like, is this that one time?
Dude, it's like the ultimate like bamboozle.
It could be.
So they really. Okay, I'm looking.
So I understand why people.
Yeah, Maul/Saxon.
Which is why I asked actually like a few weeks ago. I don't know if you guys remember me asking like, could the armor potentially be a part of the Maul clan? You guys immediately shot it down and said no because she's part of the Children of the Watch.
Well, and that's the thing too is she's.
But then this episode
she's been clamoring for power, and she's always been second fiddle.
True.
Always been clamoring for power. Now she's in a position where she's leading other Mandalorians like she's always wanted, and now she's got a whole bunch of them and an easy ticket. And the thing is that her and Bo-Katan are at odds, and they were in Rebels too.
I guess the horns are. I mean, they just don't.
They're not the ones that they had.
Because the Mandalorians that were under Maul, the horns literally looked exactly like Maul's horns.
They like went around his head instead of like on top. They were like all the way around and up.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I feel like I've seen different spiked helmets where they didn't all necessarily look the same. Because I feel like I've seen some close to like Moff Gideon's too, how his was, and how that's how some of the Mandalorian helmets would look too.
I've seen a lot of different styles.
His aren't like that.
No, and I've seen a lot of different styles of Mandalorian helmet, but it's really a matter of you can make them however you want to, So it's like it's hard for me to say what the real like canon recognized helmets are outside of the obvious. You know what I mean? It's like we've seen Maul's people wear the ones with like the crown of horns, honestly, and then we've seen like more of like a almost like stormtrooper type, like on Paz Vizsla. He wears like a more. He doesn't wear it. It's more forward.
Yeah.
And then we've seen obviously the Mando helmet. We've seen Bo-Katan's and all that, and even the ones that were the survivors on the planet. They all wear very similar. But then there's some of them just off the wall, different. And they don't explain them all.
Well, so when they get down to the planet, they discover like these rando Mandalorians out of nowhere that are just on this big ass ship boat thing, and they're apparently committed to Bo-Katan, which
Lady Kreese.
They're like it's the voice of Lady Kreese, and she's like, that's me, and. They like jetpack up and hail, and
are they the spies?
I personally think that they're the spies.
Yeah, they could have.
Because like they were just there on a boat.
My money was on them or
the only
Wolf Boy.
Yeah,
he's the only one from their current squad that I can think of.
Yeah,
the armor too, but the armor almost just seems obvious in the way they shot it.
He just looks like a dick.
Axe Woves.
Yes,
Axe Woves. That's it. Yep.
Loved when he tries to fight Boss.
Yeah, this gets worked.
That was sick.
I literally during that fight I was like, "You led your troop?
Yeah.
Like Paz you beat everybody in your troop, and
Paz caught him with a right while he was jumping and sailing with his jetpack. Just hits the ground like that was sweet.
That fight was sick.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the one thing though about them is that if they really were the spies, I don't think they would have led them. Well, maybe they just wouldn't have known, though. Like, just led them directly into getting attacked by a big-ass creature, but then again, they probably just didn't realize that it was even there to wake up.
Were they
that's
in the back?
Probably what it was, but I was
back?
like, because did they ever actually confirm that they found the forge? I actually can't remember.
No, they knew exactly where it was at.
Well, they said they knew where it was at, but it also led into that monster.
Hey, were they standing
well, no, because then they go in the cave and they start going down. So
they go in the cave and they start going down, so I don't really know if they are the spies.
Were they standing in the back when the blast door shut? That's how you know.
Actually, were they seen?
I don't know.
Were they even seen in that battle at all?
I think they were standing in the back when the blast door shut.
Funny, huh?
Yeah. Okay, then they're probably the spies.
Yeah, we'll lead you to the wrong spot.
I mean, it's possible that the armor really is Rook, and at the end of the day, like, Rook still would have been, like, Mandalorians first.
Right.
So it would make sense that...
Yeah, she wouldn't sell out the Mandalorians to the Empire for damn sure.
Right.
Yeah, she was Mandalorian only.
Right. She already went through the experience of an outsider leading them with Maul.
So then, once again, if she was Rook, then why would she be the spy?
Right, and that's the thing. A lot of people think that she is, but I think that she's a spy for somebody else. I don't think she's a spy for the Empire.
I'll say somebody I think broke it down that it was like the only way it would make sense that if she was the spy was to be basically like to protect like it would almost be like a callback to Bo's conversation about why she surrendered to Moff Gideon in the first place.
Right.
To save it would be like if she potentially could have made a deal like, okay, if you give me the rest of the Mandalorians, your clan will be safe.
Well, right.
The Children of the Watch will be okay.
Because you can see her
But I still don't think, like, with Bo's story, like, you would have to know that he's full of shit and he's not going to fucking, like, honor that anyway. So it's just like, I don't think it's her. If it is, they're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
She really looks worried when she was starting to win everybody over with her story about how she lost it and why she lost it and why she gave it up. And she started winning everybody over. You could see her demeanor completely change.
Yeah.
She doesn't want her to win everybody over. Even though she says she does, she doesn't truly think that she was going to.
And the reason I think, really, she's probably just, she might be the spy, but just not Rook, but she might be a spy because of, and someone pointed this out, and it makes sense, when Mando goes back to where Grief Karga is, the very first time, all the way back in the first season, when he goes back and he goes underground to where they were hiding, all the armor there is just piled up. And, like, I think you're led to believe they kind of got killed by the Empire. Well, why is she the only one left?
Correct.
And then also, why is she just still there? Why didn't she get off that planet? So, people are theorizing, like, she might be the spy for him.
And like you say, you just said it earlier, she was the one that was that dipped out and brought the injured people back to the party. Just so happened that she was the one that missed all of the Empire's crap.
True, too.
I'll say I didn't know how to take that moment because they also focused on it so much that I felt like it was kind of obvious. That I almost, in a way, was like, well, are they trying to... Which is also weird, because they kind of already established that Moff Gideon had a base on Mandalore because of the meeting earlier with the Shadow Council. So it's like, I don't know if they were trying to take... I don't know if they were trying to, like, with her flying up into space to bring the injured people, if they were like, oh, this is when Moff's crew is going to show up and then attack, but it was going to be like a fake out, or like, oh, no, they're actually trapping the Mandalorians in a base here. I don't know what... It was really odd. They put a lot of time onto her, like, when she was flying out, because they even did it coming in, too. And I was like, because when it first happened again, I was like, oh, wow, they really love this rain effect of going in and out of this planet, which, granted, looks badass. But it was just, like, even more heavy of her leaving the planet. And I was just like, why are they focusing so much on her?
For one of two reasons. It's either what we're thinking, what we're talking about now, or this is her setting up for her big moment where she goes down and saves her people. That could be a thing, too.
The person that's captured.
Well, right, but we also don't know where the rest of them went either. We don't know what condition they're in.
That's true.
Because they bounced out, they cut that hole and bounced. Well, you know. Who knows
also, this writing, like, it happens in so many shows and movies. But they have fucking Mando.
Yeah.
They have him.
Yep.
Moff's like, bring him in for questioning. Why?
Just cut his head off.
Take his helmet off and cut his head off. Just kill him.
Yeah. That's what honestly, I thought they were going to. I was sitting there just looking.
For a second, I was like, you know, people are really pissed off. This didn't show anymore.
I thought they were going to just kill him right there. I was
maybe.
Like, oh, man.
For a split
this
second.
really is Katie Sackhoff.
I was like, oh, this didn't show anymore. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
well,
that.
we also didn't even touch on
Katie Sackhoff was seen
IG-12, dude.
I'd say there's another thing we haven't done. No.
IG-12.
No.
That was amazing.
No.
He's got the fruit in his hand. No. Dude, I thought that was hilarious.
He's just, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
I was dying.
It's so good. I like when he's like, you have to keep up when they're running through the cave, and he's just in the back, like, just getting busy. I'm like, it's so funny, dude. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's one thing I wanted to bring up, but...
that was great. I love how they actually kind of give him, in a weird way, he can talk now, but he doesn't actually have a voice yet for people to shit on and be like, oh, you ruined Grogu.
Yeah, exactly. And he can move around with everybody.
Okay, the one thing that I didn't like, too, is that, like, he was in there, like, with all of them when they were trapped, and, like, he's watching his pseudo-father, like, getting his ass whooped. I was half expecting, like, and he's like gonna choke all of them or something and like throw them and shit. Sweet. I was like kind of fully expecting like, oh, I think Grogu's about to like unleash force here,
or just force pull,
or like he was gonna like force push the shit out of the door and like blow it off so then they could save Din. And I was like,
he's horrified of Gideon though. Huh? He's horrified of Gideon.
That's true.
He's been hunting him and torturing him for how long? So he's just horrified of Gideon. So he literally, his ears went down when he showed up. He's horrified of him. So it's like maybe that's the thing for him too. Maybe he'll get that chance to really show what he's learned so far. That's, if I know Star Wars, that's probably what they'll do. Is they'll have him involved and he'll like do some flips and he'll use the Force in some way, shape, or form to save
grab
him.
the Darksaber from Bo, and he's just gonna look like Yoda and attack and start
Don't you
flipping around.
Or if he wields it, it's smaller.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
That'd be hilarious. I mean,
what if you use it like a, what do they call him, like pulp vault? Like
because honestly, because Clone Wars made it canon to where they can actually dial their sabers for the length of the blade.
Facts.
Yeah.
Because Keller and Beck used his two really short ones because he dual wields.
So that makes sense because you said the other week that the other short one with Grandmaster Luke, but you said it was his father's, and I was like, but how? So now that makes sense now how his dad's was shorter now.
And if you know, I don't know if you've noticed, but Ahsoka's are that too.
I say hers don't seem, they don't seem like...
One is shorter.
Yeah. One is shorter than the other? I just thought they both were kind of short.
Even the hilt's smaller on one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She has a full lightsaber for her main hand, and then her offhand is a shorter one. that's just a little smaller.
Oh, so I always just thought I didn't think they were both
Short.
like short, but they both just, from what I've seen, they just both seem shorter than normal.
I think they are. I think because the thing is, I think when depending upon your fighting style, like
Because
Vader's has to be super long.
I was gonna
He's
say
front-facing.
because like some of the Jedi and it's more. This is more of a thing that you unless you're looking for this, you won't notice. But yeah, some of the Jedi and like Vader had a super long one because they're like two-handing it with their fighting style.
Yeah,
Which would make
lumbering.
sense.
So they're just like
Makes
lumbering with a two-hander.
You ever
William Wallace.
Yeah, no shit. If you ever want to go down a rabbit hole, look up all the fighting forms for lightsaber combat and who uses each one. It's amazing. It's the coolest rabbit hole you'll ever go into.
Right.
You actually learn like why a lot of them do what they do, and they reflect the fighting styles in the movies. It's pretty sweet. And there's like form 7. It's like I think there's like 7 or 8 forms. Or
So I've
something
heard
like
that there's different forms, and there's even like some that are like you said.
So the one
What
that
was it Obi-Wan used on Anakin when he like jumped
He
over?
was
Or that was at
using
least like a dark side like
he was
cut.
using some more dark side
Anytime-
form there.
It was designed to dismember multiple limbs. That move that he did,
Yeah.
the down slash, arm and legs.
It's the form that it might be the same form or just close, but like the form that Mace Windu uses is like that's why they say like, oh, if you use that one, like you're gonna be a dark side user because it's one that's designed to kill.
And that's why he has purple, right?
Yeah.
Well, in canon, that's why he has
No,
purple.
he has
Partial.
purple because Samuel L. Jackson.
I know that's why he has purple, but in canon he has purple because
Well,
it's blue and red mixed together
Yes.
makes purple, and he's a
Yes.
mixture between the light and the dark
Yes.
because he has some dark side tendencies.
He went to the dark
Yeah,
side.
something like
That's
that.
the canon
In the
reason.
in
But
the
yes, in
comics, he
real
went to
in
the
real
dark
life,
side for a
yes,
while.
Samuel L. Jackson wanted a purple lightsaber, and that's why he got a
It says
purple
bad
lightsaber.
motherfucker on the bottom.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
That's awesome. if
That's
it does.
incredible.
I don't
want
know.
I want a replica on the wall right there.
Bad motherfucker.
But where were we here? Looks like so obviously we got our death troopers coming in by the waves and the waves and the waves, and then they cut the hole in the back wall. They all dip through it except for Big Dog. And this
Big Daddy.
was a awesome, sad moment. Because
He
I
just-
wanted so
I
much
just love
more.
how I even love how it like kind of
Yeah,
went a
hold
little
on,
first person, and you just see the gun, and he's like
Let me finish my drink.
trailing the bullets to get them, and I was like, that is so actually accurate to a real machine gun. This is awesome. And she's like, come on, and he just looks. He's like, this is the way, and he just punches that pad, and I was like, oh God, no! I was just starting to really like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, he obviously shows his loyalty to Mandalore, as a whole.
I
not
like
just
how
one.
dude, and I love too how like they even got even way more realistic too. Like the gun got
Dude, yes.
beat red and overheated, and he's like throws
Dude,
it.
yeah,
I
that
was
was the
like,
best
oh
part.
my God! I was like, this is
Depths
When it looks like he's gonna like throw it away, he's like, nah, fuck, I just
Just nails
It was
him.
it was so genius, and then like they're just trying to blast him, and it's Beskar can't get through, and he's just tackling them and
Knocking them off the
shoves
platform.
the two off the platform.
Amazing.
And then,
This is just one of them awesome character moments because, like, we have all grown to love this Vizsla. He is very true to his character. He's all about honor, the Mandalorian way.
I love
And he just goes out in a perfect way. Just goes out
Right.
as
Dude,
he should.
the Praetorian
the-
Guard.
It broke my
Praetorian-
heart, but I was like, God damn, you did him good, though.
Those Praetorian Guard come out, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I said, oh, this is it.
I love it too. Yeah, I just love too how he turns to them and he gets the shield on, and I was like, oh God.
Yep.
Dude, he
was-
stabbed one in the neck, and they didn't even move.
Well, that was
He's
the
just-
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
and he
he's-
just literally walks away. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit. What
Yeah.
creatures are these?
because that was the thing is, like, when... it obviously starts, you already think he's going to die just the way it happens. But
Yeah.
then when he beats all the troopers, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
But then, as
Just
soon as the
gut him.
Praetorian Guards come out, you're like, ah.
And they're just pushing it deeper, and they're just staring at him. I'm like, that is frightening.
Right.
like that is a. Oh, dude, that was cool. Like when he ordered his
Hey.
backups or whatever, his reinforcements,
Dude,
he was
it's-
like,
it's
he's
fine.
like
And-
Praetorian Guards. He's like, what are you trying to stage an assassination? Like, I was
Right,
like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The same ones that Kylo and Rey. Just
I was gonna
destroyed.
say it's fine. Those assholes get their just desserts in 20 years. Like I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
Kylo or Rilo. Rilo messes him up.
That's the only thing from that fucking movie that I'm like, okay, cool, fine. Like that
was pretty cool.
That scene, that whole execution of that throne room scene where they fuck all them up. No?
It's the same scene that Snoke gets killed off too, right?
Yeah.
Well,
With the Force right next to him,
Just-
doesn't sense a light.
ignore that part.
Oh, if we're talking about immediately after, yeah, that fight scene was.
Yeah, we're talking
But
about
right before that fight scene,
look.
the Praetorian Guards, yeah.
Snoke wasn't perfect, okay? He didn't have that much foresight. He just could sense he could just sense the feeling of murder. He didn't know he was really gonna murder. He was just being an arrogant asshole.
I just killed Jeff.
Oh, that was hilarious. It was so high pitched. It was so high pitched.
I walk by Haley in the house all the time and just go.
That is fucking
Oh
funny.
my god, that was amazing.
It's my one skill that I can do.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it's the whole like, yeah, this Praetorian Guard. He's like, "Are you trying to make an assassination attempt?" And I'll admit, like for a minute, I'm like, "Why does that sound familiar?" And then at the end, when they came out in the red, I was like, "Oh yeah, those motherfuckers."
Dude, I used to be obsessed with I used to have like tons of those figures of like the Praetorian Guards.
the old school
I
ones.
love them. Dude, when I was a kid, I built.
I was gonna say they're in return, but they don't do anything.
He just tells them to
They
go
just look
away.
really dope.
He tells them to go away. Literally, he's like, leave us, and that's the only time you see him. It's like, but I had,
But you damn straight they had an action figure and they were dope.
bro, I had like every variation, and then I built a Lego throne room, and I had them in it, like where they would be otherwise. Like I loved them. I thought they were the coolest thing when I was a kid.
That's the thing. They were so cool.
And the thing is,
Character design wise, like they were really cool.
yeah, all red sheen, like, and that's what's so cool about it is that's the same exact.
They literally
get-up
just like,
as Palpatine in Project Cinder.
even if
Operation
you
Cinder.
know like a little bit about Star Wars, like you know what the stormtroopers are, Jedi, you know the basic stuff. You see them, you're like, oh, they look like some royal guards.
Yeah.
Like they protect somebody real important.
And the fact is, you don't even. Back in the day, like he was saying, you don't even get to see what they fight like. So now you're getting to see how legit they actually were. So in that instance, it makes you think. When he sent away the Praetorian Guards in Return of the Jedi, if he wanted to kill Luke, he could have just done it. Like, if he wanted to kill Luke, he could have just said, Vader, and you two, kill him. And he would have been done. Done. There ain't nobody. But no, that's pretty much the end of the episode. And next week we find out if Mandalorians are indeed stronger together. We'll see.
We will see. And we'll see if the Mandalorian is going to be Din Djarin or if the Mandalorian is now going to be Bo-Katan.
Oh, also confirmed the little youngling birds.
Oh, yeah.
Guess we know their fate.
Yeah, I guess.
I thought that was. Did you miss that?
Probably.
They're like coming in on camp like at nighttime or something. You just see these like big birds that are getting like roasted in the fire.
Yeah.
Look exactly like the baby birds that they took from the nest the other day.
Foundlings.
Christ.
Yeah, roasting the foundlings.
Hey, we got more Mandos. We got feed. We ain't got enough food.
Hell yeah.
Do you really think they'd kill him off?
Who?
Depends.
No.
Is Pedro going to get paid enough money to come back and not show his face, or will he actually finally get to show his face?
I think
because
he'll
if
get
both
to
of
show
those
his
answers
face.
are not enough and no, yes, he's dead.
Well, no shit.
This is Bo-Katan's story.
That's the thing about it.
Her now.
That was the whole thing about
That
it.
is
Was
true.
like he like literally
Which
said,
was a really cool moment.
Oh, exactly.
yeah, he was like he tells her, he's like, it's about honor. He's like, it's not about your title or
the blade.
the blade of this bullshit that the whole society is always bought into. He's like, it's about honor and you're honorable. And he's like, I'll serve you until I die. And he's like, your story has still not been fully written or something.
Yeah, and I will serve you until it is.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Really cool.
That's where I am afraid that he might just get killed off in this finale, and then the show going forward is going to be her show.
I don't know, man. I think
Especially with this season.
the thing is, there's so much going on still that's undone with him. Like if they'd have wrapped a few things up with like Navarro and stuff, sure. But there's a lot of things that are still going on. I think that he's going to have a place. I don't know if it's going to be... I think it's going to be more so a Mandalorian than the Mandalorian for him. But that's what he wants. He gave up the Darksaber. He don't want it. He doesn't want to lead. He just wants to be a Mandalorian, not the Mandalorian. So he's getting what he's asked for. He wanted to serve Bo-Katan. He went and did it. And her way, you take your helmet off.
I know a lot of people are like really upset at this season because it doesn't feel like Din Djarin's story anymore.
That's okay.
I'm about to say, I know you guys are okay with it. You guys have watched Rebels. Even me, for somebody who hasn't watched it, but you guys have filled me up enough, I'm still all about this. Hey, I'm cool with it being Bo or Grogu's story. Either one.
Bo-Katan has been a beautifully written character.
Yeah,
beautifully
amazing, great character. The actress was like on some show and they were like doing tweet readings. One was hardcore fans of Bo-Katan are now dubbed Bo-Kastans, and I was like, I'll take that. That's incredible. Bo-Kastans.
Oh, that's
I was like, I'll take that. Yeah, that's what I am.
You know what? I missed that for my handle. Bo-Kastan.
But no, beautifully, absolutely.
Bo-Kastan.
Absolutely beautiful written character. Starts out, you get introduced to her that she's a fucking terrorist fanatic with Death Watch that thinks that her sister, who's in rule of the planet, they're wrong. It's not how they should be. They should be a military might. And then, like, basically, they trust Maul. And then Maul kills her sister. Spoilers. But that came out like...
We've given you enough time.
But all that came out like more than 10 years ago, so yeah, you've been given enough time to watch it. But yeah, so like she learns that Maul wasn't the answer, and that's where... So those events are where she learned that when Mandalorians are divided, their societies just crumbles. Mm-hmm.
And they made reference to that with all of
our
warring factions.
That's the thing. It's like when she's making her speech to them and saying how we need to be together, because she's like, I've seen what... She's like, when Mandalorians infight, like, it just ruins us. Like, that's what she's referring to.
I do wonder if that whole conversation, maybe for some people who have tuned out this season and are kind of lost, I wonder if that conversation might have done a little bit more good in the beginning of the season for a lot of people.
Probably would have.
Makes more like it makes sense why it would pop up when it did.
Because I mean, and the thing is too is like she doesn't just experience it once. So she goes through it with Maul, and then the Empire wins, and then they basically the fighting continues because again, like Gar Saxon gets a lot of the clans to follow under the Empire, and that's when like Sabine gets oh god, the dude's name. The when they're on the outskirts. It's the Mandalorians that flood Mandalore. It's not the Watch, but
I can't remember.
Gar Saxon.
No, it's they even rumored that he might come back and play the voice actor would come back and play the live action character.
It would make sense now.
Right.
Definitely. Especially with the armor the way it is.
Right. So like that's the thing is like she's been through it twice because then when they get rid of Gar Saxon, that's when Sabine Wren. Yes, Sabine Wren, sorry.
Yeah. There's so many names.
No, why did he made them the same name, just one different constant.
Oh, Sabine.
Satine and Sabine.
Satine and Sabine.
Yes. Anyways, that's when she hands Bo the Darksaber, and then that's when Bo like rules all the clans, and then they're gonna fight the Empire. Then the whole purge thing happens. Blah 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 blah. But that's what she's referring to. Is like they were infighting forever.
That's why we always joke about the Civil Wars. Mm-hmm. It's real.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
And they even joke about it now. It's like, oh,
like that's
they go
thing,
again.
That's the thing is like they have these Civil Wars that like Boba says to Din. And he shows him the chain codes in the armor. Mm-hmm. He's like, this is my dad. He's like Jango Fett. He's like served in the Mandalorian Civil Wars and all that shit. Like he's like, I am a Mandalorian. by blood or whatever. Even though Bo will never see him as one. Which is weird, but whatever.
Well, and he's pretty much removed himself from the culture. Like when Din was talking about his
he just
way,
likes
he's
having
like, "You actually believe that?" You know, he's like, yeah, and he goes, "Good." He didn't. So,
yeah,
kind of alluded there,
in the show at the end, like, he's just like, Mandalorians are stronger together. He's like, "You actually believe that?" He's just like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Good."
Well, he said he's like, we'll fight and die together, and he's like, we'll die on the field of battle and stuff. And he goes, "You actually believe that?" And he goes, "I do." He goes, "Okay, good," because I don't.
Right? Yeah. Bubba was like, "Yeah, I don't."
Yeah. Yeah. So he doesn't walk the way, obviously. But,
No.
But next week we get to find out who's still walking the way.
This is going to be very interesting. Great penultimate episodes that just left open all these questions.
Yeah.
They did a damn good job with this episode, because especially at the end of episode 6, it was kind of like, we all kind of knew Gideon was the overarching threat, but it still just didn't feel it quite. He was just still looming. It was like, okay, what's the threat? Where's this going to come in? I think they did a lot of good things this episode to kind of get us real hyped for this finale here. Hopefully it gets us hyped for Season 4, which they've apparently already got mapped out and everything.
And Ahsoka,
obviously. Which this next episode could very, very much lead into Ahsoka.
That's what I think.
But it also could not. He also could not show up, which I think we should be prepared for.
Dude, when the Shadow Council, when they kept panning out, and there was like everybody around the room, and the front of the room was empty. I was sitting there. I was like staring at it, and they kept like changing the focus to go like background and foreground, and I was like, do it. I just want to see like the blue hologram and just the back of his head and that voice come in. I'd have been like, I'm done. I'm done. Too much overload.
I'd say they've kind of set it up where Gideon seems like he's getting a little too big-headed,
ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious. We'll say.
And I think they're setting up Thrawn to
would be kind of cool to see Thrawn come in and humble him. But I almost wonder if Thrawn will be saved for Ahsoka and the movie.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think they wouldn't be wrong to do that, but I think that they'd be remiss if they didn't, like, at least introduce him.
So it would be nice if they at least do finally tease him and do show him at least.
Yeah, or even
if he doesn't do anything like super impactful, it would be kind of nice to lead into the Ahsoka series, because they already was it in Boba's or was it last season of Mandalore where Ahsoka appeared up and she kind of already she asked where is Thrawn, or Grand Admiral
where
Thrawn.
is Grand Admiral Thrawn to Elsbeth?
So they've kind of already teased him, so it would kind of make sense if they teased him last season. It makes sense if he actually did, even if it's for 2 seconds, show up to kind of lead into Ahsoka. I hope so. I'm ready to meet this man. Haven't watched the Rebels. So
well, dude, I mean, on the way back from vacation, I was listening to Greater Good on the way back, and let's just put it this way. I put it on at like 6 in the morning when I or 3 in the morning when I started driving. I switched around like, 7 or 8 o'clock. He took over. I fell asleep for a little while. Woke up. It was still playing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just too lazy to change it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I bet.
I mean, I was.
It's good shit, though.
I literally could barely pay attention to what was even being said. And I was like, I have no idea what this is like. Where this is at. I was like,
well, honestly, every chapter is a completely different story, pretty much, because they'll switch back and forth from memories from long ago when Thrawn was young to modern day.
Yeah.
So you'll get chapter 17 and then chapter 18 memories, and then chapter 19, chapter 20 memories. And then, sometimes it's hard to follow. This is the only book they've they've done it a little bit in other books, but this is the one they've done it the most in. It's a little... They're starting to not jump as far back as it was fun in the beginning, because they used to jump back to when he was a kid, and, growing up, and, when he was going through military testing, and that was cool, because he just destroyed every test, and they thought he was cheating all the time, because he's a military genius, but he sucks at politics.
Yeah, I feel like I remember you mentioning that prior, that he's... military genius, terrible at politics.
Dude, it's bad.
Yeah, that's not his.
And that's why that's basically why he gets exiled, because he gets pretty much screwed over, and there's nothing he can do about it because he didn't set himself up. He's doing the right thing militarily, always, but somebody got him. Haven't got there yet, so I don't know.
Well, either way, I think we're all excited for next week.
What are we rating? Rating.
Oh, yeah, rating. Ooh,
dude, a 9.5. This episode was awesome.
9-1.
9-1.
Hey, it's hard to get me at a 9 to begin with, so. I don't give out 9s very often. It means I'm mean.
9-7.
See, it's nearly a tenner for this boy.
Yep. This is one of my favorites.
Nearly a tenner.
I think I gave. I think we were talking about a long time ago. I said that the Luke Skywalker was like a 9-8, 9-9-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was almost...
He's consistent then. He did say it was his second favorite episode. It's consistent. I guess this is up there for me too. But I don't think I've really rated much higher. Well, we didn't talk about that season rating, so I don't have a rating for the Luke episode.
Yeah,
Chumps.
that was long ago. That was long ago.
So this might be my highest rated Mando episode yet. So screw y'all. 9-1's plenty high for me.
Hey, you know what? It's like once you get that baseline, then you can work around it.
Exactly.
So.
About to say it. Let's be real here. A 9 in Mando isn't necessarily the same as like a 9 in South Park, we'll say.